How's everybody doing? My name is Steven Rosenberg and this is Gene Ginsberg. Welcome to Marketing Success in Under 10 Minutes. We are really excited. We have a great show lined up for you guys, and Gene is about to be on fire. She has some really great, insightful stuff for you. So Gene, I'm just gonna let you take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steven. And as always, very excited to be here. Always excited to do the show. And today I want to talk about setting goals. And we've had some shows before that about setting goals. But I want to give a specific example because yesterday I was at a board meeting. So just recently I joined an entrepreneurial organization, and I also joined the board of that organization. And it's just all volunteer people who want to give their time and just make a better experience for all of the members of the entrepreneur organization. And so yesterday we had our first quarterly board meeting for the year, because this organization starts their fiscal year on July 1st. So we just had our recent first board meeting of the whole year. So this is just the first quarter of the rest of the year. So I want to share how the framework was, because the leader who led the meeting has a lot of experience with businesses and leading businesses and setting goals for businesses. And I thought this framework was absolutely amazing. And we stayed on track, everybody participated, and it was just such a positive experience that I wanted to share this example and also the framework that we used to create these goals. So it consists of several things. The main thing, of course, so I'll kind of go through the things that were on the board, and then I'll explain what each one means. So there were yearly goals, there were quarterly, what they called rocks, and I'll go into what rocks are. Then there were personal rocks, so each person had their own kind of goals. And there was a scorecard. So when everybody in the room, there were I think about 10 people who were part of the board. They all had different goals and I guess ideas as to what we should be doing, of course, with the board and with the members and with the organization in general. So of course we went around the room and just kind of talked about in the beginning what everybody's goals were. But then we started getting into the yearly goals. So the way you would set everything up, all of these pieces, and we'll go through all of them, but the way you set everything up is that you typically have 3 to 7 goals. So that could be yearly goals or quarterly goals that you want to accomplish as a group. So that's the main thing, is that we first start with the group, and then we kind of funnel it down to the individual level. So with the yearly goals, you want to set up 3 to 7 goals. And the reason why it's 3 to 7 is because you want it to be manageable. These are big goals, but you want to complete them within the year. But you don't want to set up 20 goals, because then you're not going to be able to complete 20 goals because there's too many. But then maybe setting 1 is too few. So 3 to 7, and you have to be really specific and concrete on what each goal is. And everybody has to agree in the group as to what these 3 to 7 goals are. So those are the yearly goals, and then the quarterly goals, or they call them quarterly rocks. And the reason why they call them rocks is because they gave this analogy of these are they're the way you would look into your business is there's rocks, which are bigger things that you need to accomplish, let's say things that you have to accomplish on a quarterly basis. Then there's pebbles, these are things that you have to accomplish maybe day to day. Then there's the sand, which is all the things that are distracting you. And then there's the water, which is all of everything else. And so the way they describe it and why it's called rocks is because if you were to put the water, the sand, and the pebbles, and then the rocks into a jar, you wouldn't have any space left, because the water and the sand and the pebbles would eat up all the space before you can even put the rocks in there. So what you do is you would first take the rocks, put them in the jar or the whatever, and then you would cover them, or in the middle of the rocks you would pour in the sand, pour in the pebbles, then you would, pour in the sand, and then you would pour in the water, and then everything would fit. So that's why, that's the reason why they call it rocks. And so there are quarterly rocks, and it's kind of similar to what it is with the yearly goals, is that you set up 3 to 7 quarterly goals. Again, this is for the entire group, that we all have to, as a group, complete and accomplish. Again, 3 to 7, we don't want to have too many and too little, because otherwise we're not going to accomplish. And then we also have personal rocks. So these are things that as a person on the board, you have to accomplish over the next quarter, so quarterly personal rocks. So for example, I'm the communications chair for this particular organization, and so I set up, a few goals for myself to complete over the next quarter. And then the last thing that we talked about is a scorecard, and a scorecard is measurable goals, and again, they can be like depending on how you want to measure them, like it could be yearly, quarterly, or personal, but they're definitely measurable. So like, for example, we want to hit $1 million in revenue this year, or we want to retain 100% of our clients, or we want to bring on 100 more clients. So whatever are the goals, a scorecard will keep track of them over the quarter or over the year, depending on, like, you can check in with the scorecard. Typically, I think we check in once a month, so you can have monthly, quarterly, or yearly scorecard goals, but basically it's a measurable thing. So like, if we say, okay, by next month we want to have 10 new clients, so in the month we check in and we're like, okay, on the scorecard, did we achieve this goal? Did we get 10 new clients? And same thing, of course, with quarterly or yearly goals. So any thoughts on that, Stephen? I know I've been kind of chatting here away, but
yeah, I'm like, where am I supposed to?
Well, I just wanted to lay out the framework, but then also have so that our audiences know what I'm talking about, because I think I didn't want to do it piecemeal. But I also, of course, wanted to leave a few minutes at the end to talk about, have you experienced something like this? What are your thoughts, and how have you set up your goals? Because you've run companies in the past before.
Yes, thank you. So first, I think there's a couple viral videos on Facebook about the rocks in the sand in the jar, and we should link that up down here for people to see, because I think it's a really great example. And yeah, correct. So being able to think about things from an annual perspective, a quarterly perspective, a monthly perspective, a weekly and a daily perspective, or even sometimes hourly. And it's just, I think about prioritizing and being able to, like you said, set realistic goals. So yeah, I can put 200 goals down on one list, but it's not very realistic for me to be able to accomplish those. And so I think it's really good to get in the habit of checking things off monthly. For quarterly goals, I like to do it monthly. And then for monthly goals, I obviously like to do it weekly. It's just sort of keeping a pulse on the business, constantly sort of checking in. Doesn't mean you have to do anything per se, but just kind of see where you're at with those. But then also, it's sometimes hard to keep up on that when you're so busy running a business. It's just as easy to overlook things, and then, the annual time is over and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even get to one of these goals, let alone all 3 or 7 or 5 or however many they are. So I think prioritization is really, really important.
And the one thing, that I was also going to mention was, you can set all this up, but if you just set it up and then file it in your, in your computer or in a file cabinet, then nothing is going to get done.
The box.
Yes. The key thing, the other key thing besides actually setting your goals, is that you have to check in once a month, once a quarter, once a year with your team, with yourself. I mean, maybe if you're a solopreneur, I still would recommend creating these goals, but checking in and putting actually on your calendar a time to check in and to review those goals and to see, okay, well, did I achieve those goals? And if not, what happened and what can I do better? So yeah, it's extremely important to have the second piece, which is check in with your goals and do it on a regular basis.
Yep. I think that's the most important part. Well, that was really insightful, Gene. I think a lot of people, I hope you guys got value out of that. I know I did, and I'm always fascinated with it. And the other thing that I should mention is it's always forever continuous process.
Yeah.
It's always continuously improving. Like, if you're not doing that, you're not really achieving what the point of it's for, which is to constantly have a pulse on it and to be improving it, because things are going to change. You just have to learn how to adapt with it.
Yep.
So let us know any of your guys' thoughts out there. Gene, thank you so much for the extremely informative episode, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope you'll continue to get involved and join us as we help you find success in your entrepreneurial journey. Please follow, like, and share with others who will find this beneficial. We'll see you on the next episode of Marketing Success in Under 10 Minutes with Stephen and Gene.